Grab your popcorn because what is unfolding right now between Colombia and US President Donald Trump is nothing short of a political thriller. It has the potential to shake the very fabric of Latin America and, in turn, the global order. Yes, it's that serious. From fiery speeches to trade battles to interference accusations and increasing heat, this isn't politics. This is a showdown in full gear. So what caused this rift? And why does it feel like the stakes are higher than anyone could have imagined? Stick around because you're about to get the full jaw-dropping story. We are talking about deportation flights turned away, emergency tariffs slapped on Colombian imports, and a war of words so fiery it's igniting tension across the globe. Yes, this is serious. If you think the stakes are high, you're absolutely right. This clash is about more than just politics. It's about power, respect, and the future of US-Colombia relations. Let's dive in. The spark: deportations. It started when the United States, under Trump's administration, sent 2 military aircraft carrying 80 deported Colombian nationals back to Bogotá. But when those planes reached Colombian airspace, something unprecedented happened. President Gustavo Petro refused to let them land.
Over the weekend, Colombia's President Gustavo Petro refused to accept U.S. military deportation flights, saying the U.S. cannot treat Colombian migrants as criminals.
His reasoning? Petro said the deportees deserve dignity, and using military planes for such purposes was, in his words, dehumanizing. He even offered to use his own presidential plane for deportations if it meant avoiding the optics of military intervention. If that sounds like a bold move, it was. It sent shockwaves through Washington. Trump, of course, wasn't going to let this slide. Hours after Petro announced his move, Trump fired back. A 25% emergency tariff on all Colombian imports, effective immediately. Let me repeat that. Every single Colombian product entering the U.S. now costs 25% more. Coffee, flowers, and textiles, industries that form the backbone of Colombia's economy, are now at risk. And that is not all. Trump issued an ominous threat to the Colombian government. If Colombia didn't change its decision and accept the deportees unconditionally, the tariffs would double to 50% within a week. And that was not all. The U.S. suspended visa processing for Colombian nationals and threatened travel bans and sanctions on Colombian government officials. Trump even ordered enhanced border inspections for Colombian goods, creating delays and chaos for exporters.
Donald Trump has fumed that he'd impose emergency 25% tariffs on Colombian goods coming into the United States and would raise that to 50% in a week. Mr. Trump will also impose emergency treasury banking and financial sanctions on Colombia.
This wasn't just a slap on the wrist. It was a diplomatic nuclear strike. But Colombia isn't backing down. Petro hit back with his own tariff, a 25% tax on all U.S. imports. That's right. American products entering Colombia are now significantly more expensive, from electronics to agricultural products. A tweet reads, Petro fights back at Trump, imposing 25% tariffs on all U.S. goods. And Petro wasn't shy about calling Trump out. In a fiery tweet, he said, as the tweet translates, "Overthrow me, President, and the Americas and humanity will respond. You can kill me, but I will survive in my people." It's the kind of defiance that makes headlines. Petro is painting this as a fight for sovereignty and dignity, a stand against what he calls imperialism. But let's be honest, can Colombia afford this fight? The U.S. is Colombia's largest trading partner, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Now let's talk about the people caught in the middle of this clash. Imagine being one of the 80 deportees turned away from Colombia. You're stuck, labeled as unwanted by 2 nations. Where do you go? What happens to your future? Then, of course, there are the Colombian exporters. Ponder the fate of a coffee farmer in Medellin who waits to see orders from the U.S., his biggest market, canceled due to Trump's tariffs. Or picture a florist in Bogotá whose lovely flowers wilt because she can't afford an import tax of 25%. And it's not just Colombians. American farmers and businesses relying on trade with Colombia are also feeling the pinch. It's a lose-lose situation for everyday people on both sides. A tweet reads, due to Trump putting tariffs on Colombia, the price of these things will jump 25% to 50%. This highly resonates with how the lives of people would be after the imposition of tariffs. Things are getting messy here. The economic fallouts of these tariffs may be catastrophic, not only for Colombia, but also for the U.S. Colombia is dependent on the U.S. for almost 30% of its exports, and a long trade war would devastate its economy. A tweet reads, "All of these plans are going to screw the consumer. He does not care about us," and somehow it's actually true. But the U.S. isn't immune either. Colombia is an important supplier of coffee, flowers, and other daily products Americans use. Higher tariffs mean higher prices for consumers. Think about shelling out twice as much for your morning coffee or a Valentine's Day bouquet. The frustration will be felt well beyond the political sphere. A tweet mockingly stated, "Congratulations. You're going to be paying more for your morning coffee because Trump can't deport Colombians." This truly depicts the current scenario. And then there is the geopolitical angle. If Colombia feels alienated by the U.S., it could turn to China, which has been increasing its influence in Latin America. That's a move that could shift the balance of power in the region, and Trump knows it. At the heart of this feud is immigration. Trump's hardline policies have always centered on reducing illegal immigration and deporting undocumented individuals. His supporters see the deportation flights as a necessary step to protect American jobs and security, but critics said this is taking it too far. To use military planes for deportations, as it degrades the dignity of the deportees and sends the wrong message. Social media? It's a battlefield. The trending hashtags include #Trump, hands off Colombia, and #Petro fails, where influencers, activists, and politicians chime in. The narratives are polarizing, and the truth, it's buried somewhere beneath the propaganda. Social media erupted with memes as they thought the situation to be funny and raised concerns on the decision of Donald Trump. Now here is the twist. After days of rising tension, Colombia and the U.S. announced a tentative agreement. Petro has agreed to accept deportees on U.S. military planes, but only under strict conditions to ensure their dignity. In response, the U.S. has put its tariff hikes on hold, at least for now. A Twitter user posted this clash in an amusing manner. Trump, take back you criminals, Colombia. Colombia, number. Trump, 50% tariff. Colombia, just kidding, send them over. But let's be clear, this isn't over. The agreement is fragile, and one misstep could rekindle the conflict. Both sides are crowing for victory, but the truth? Neither really won. Things get even more dramatic from here. This is not a battle between the U.S. and Colombia. It can have murkier implications across Latin America and other parts of the world. Other regional players are watching closely. Will Colombia firm up, or will it cave into the influence of the United States? The answer may set a precedent for how Latin America should and can handle the U.S. in the future. And then there is China. Beijing has been quietly expanding its influence in Latin America, making loans and investments with fewer strings attached than the U.S. If Colombia feels alienated, don't be surprised if it turns to China for support. And that, my friends, could shift the global balance of power. This is not just a clash between two leaders. It is a clash of ideologies, values, and power. For Colombia, it is about asserting its independence and refusing to be seen as a subordinate. For Trump, it is about projecting strength and keeping his promise to put America first. But the stakes are larger than two countries. So here we are. A deportation dispute has spiraled into a full-blown diplomatic crisis. Fallout? Still playing out. Will this conflict redefine US-Colombian relations? Will it push Colombia closer to China? Or is this just another chapter in the long, complicated history between the two nations? Sure, this is about far, far more than Trump or Petro. It's about power, respect, and people caught in the crossfire. So what's next? One will only know the minute hours tick by. But for now, let's get your thoughts. Is this a battle that needs to be fought, or has it gotten out of hand? Let's keep discussing this because this saga's far from over.